Okay, today I'm going to show you just how easy it is to write an offer using dotloop. So anyway, I'm going to go into my KW here, get to my eEdge control panel. I'm going to go up here to where it says My Transactions, and I'm going to go ahead and start my transaction. So we're going to assume I have a brand new buyer, and I need to create a loop for this transaction. So I'm going to go ahead and create 555 Main Street in Falmouth. And we'll create that loop. All right, so now I've got a loop, and so I need to add a document to it because I need an offer that I can actually populate. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my templates, and you can go in to the Keller Williams folder here, and you can probably find everything that you need. Well, you can definitely find everything you need. I actually made my own folder for anytime I have a new buyer, I go into my buyer folder. And pretty much anything that I could need for a new buyer is going to be in there. I'm just going to go ahead and go to the proposal to purchase real estate because that's the one that we need right now. I'm going to click copy. Okay. And there it is. Normally I'll rename this file. It already says proposal to purchase, so I'll just leave that and say 555 Main Street. And so we just click on that, and that's going to open the actual offer. You can autofill some stuff. I won't do that right now because I'm just basically making a fake one here. So here it is. First thing we're going to do is put in today's date. Assuming we're writing the offer today, that's the day we're going to submit it. Now, you're going to go into the public records. You're going to find the name of the owner of record. You could just write owner of record. I like to go in and find the person's actual name, or if it's the name of a trust or something. So we'll just go ahead and make up a name here. Roger Nelson is the owner of 555 Main Street. So we're going to go down here. This is the property referred to and is identified as follows: 555 Main Street, Falmouth, Massachusetts, 02540. As described in, again, now we've already looked up the owner's name in the public record, so I'm also going to look in there and see where it was recorded. Usually in the Barnstable County Registry of Deeds, I'm going to look and see if I either have a book and page number, or if it's a land court, it might just be a land court certificate number. Or normally, I'm going to put in the book number 1234 and page 407. That is recorded at the Barnstable County Registry of Deeds. Next thing that comes up, special provisions, if any, RE fixtures, appliances, etc. What I do pretty much on a standard basis, if there's nothing specific that my buyers want to make sure that they're leaving behind, or that they don't want, or that we've already talked to the listing agent about, that there's, the seller is definitely taking their fridge with them, or they're definitely taking their washer and dryer. My standard thing to do here is to just write all fixtures and appliances to be included in sale. Then if there's something that the seller doesn't want to leave behind, obviously they can let us know that after, when they give us a counter offer. So we're going to down here, hereby offer to purchase said property which has been offered to me by. So I'm going to put in my name and the company that I am lucky enough to work for, Keller Williams, Cape Cod, and the Islands. And So now let's say 555 Main Street is a hot property. It's listed for $300,000, and so we're gonna offer exactly that. We're gonna offer a full price because we know there's going to be multiple offers on this, and we want to get our offer in quickly. So we're offering $300,000. I've already talked to my clients about the money that they're going to need as far as earnest money, and I had already warned them. So okay, when we make this offer, you're going to have to give me a check for $1,000. I'm going to put down $1,000 here to bind the offer, which is what we're putting on this first page, on this first line here. Now, this line could vary a little bit depending upon what type of mortgage product your client has or what their ready cash is. A good rule of thumb is at the purchase and sale agreement, we're going to put down 5% of the purchase price. Doesn't necessarily have to be exactly that amount, but for the most part, that's, again, nothing's ever written in stone, but that's pretty standard, is 5%. So 5% of that 300,000 would be 15,000. We've already put 1,000 down to bind the offer, so we're going to put down the balance of 5% here at the purchase and sale, which would be an additional 14,000. And then the balance, which would be 285 if I'm doing my math properly, would be what's going to be actually conveyed at the closing. So then we add these up. We go, okay, 300 plus 1,000 plus 14,000 plus 285,000 should equal 300,000. So we'll put the total purchase price in here. There's an extra line in there. If for any reason you're ever in a situation where maybe your client has to make multiple deposits to get up to the full deposit that they need to have down, or something like that, there is a line in there to put in a spot for an additional deposit or something if that's necessary. But for the most part, these are the ones you're going to use. The above deposits are going to be held in an escrow account by, and now this is always going to be the listing agent's broker, but I am going to just assume that this is being listed by another one of our excellent Keller Williams, Cape Cod, and the Islands agents, and that's where that money is going to be held. So this offer is good until, make my offer good until the end of business the following day. So I'm going to say 5 o'clock. Now you've got AM, PM here. The easiest thing to do is to use a little checkbox right there. There we go. We've checked PM on. See here, your little calendar will come up tomorrow. Now you can leave the full date in there as it comes up when you click it, 5/18/2017. But since there's a separate place to put the 2017 in, I always do that and do 2017 like that. I don't think anybody cares, but that's how I do it. Anyway, so now the next thing that we have to do is, if this was accepted tomorrow, when are we going to do the purchase and sale agreement? Well, we're going to do it within 2 weeks, 14 days. And I like to give myself until 6 o'clock to execute a purchase and sale. Sometimes, if you know the attorney you're going to be working with might be difficult to get things done in a timely fashion, you might want to make that later in the day just so you're not rushing to get a purchase and sale agreement signed. But for our purposes, we'll just say we're gonna sign that purchase and sale agreement by 6 o'clock p.m. and we're gonna do it 2 weeks from the date of the accepted offer. So let's take a look here. So we've got, if it was accepted tomorrow, then it looks like June 1st would be exactly 2 weeks away, and that's a Thursday, which is good. I try not to have any of my deadlines land on a Friday, only because if anything gets screwed up on that day, then we're into the weekend and we can't fix anything until Monday. At least if on Thursday we don't get our P&S signed, but we can get ourselves together in time to get it done on Friday, we still get it done before the weekend. So that's why I try to make sure, I don't schedule things on Friday. Um, all right, so we filled in those things. The next thing we're going to come up to is some stuff about the home inspection. Obviously, you've already given your client the home inspector's facts for consumers that the state requires us to give them. They've already signed off that they've received that. Um, do, do, do. And we've also already given them any information on lead paint if it was a home constructed prior to 1978, obviously. So next up, the buyer at their own expense is going to have the premises inspected, and we're going to give ourselves 10 days to do that. So if we said we were going to sign the P&S on the 1st, so 10 days, yeah, that sounds good. 10 days would bring us to Sunday the 28th. I do have some inspectors that'll work on a Sunday, so let's give ourselves until that Sunday to get it done. And so the next line is one that is unique to, as compared to the standard Massachusetts Association of Realtors offer form. What's a little bit unique to our Keller Williams offer form is this next section here, where we say that they're going to inspect the property, um, and if it's the inspector's opinion that the property contains serious structural, mechanical, or other defects, including but not limited to the presence of termites or wood-boring insects or levels of radon gas in excess of levels deemed acceptable by the EPA, and if the repair of such defects would cost the buyer in aggregate more than blank, then the buyer shall have the option of revoking the agreement by written notice to the seller and or broker representing the seller on or before blank. So the thing that's unique here is in the MAR form, it just says if any of this stuff happens, my client has the option to back out, and that's what and that's their option. What we're doing here is we're putting a monetary value on the potential things that we find in the home inspection. So part of the reason that this can be a good negotiating tool for you is if you do find yourself in a multiple offer situation and you want to make your offer as strong as possible, you can go ahead and make this a big number. You can say, you know what, my client wants this house so bad that even if they find $4,000 worth of repairs that are necessary, even if they anything up to $5,000, they're going to go, ahead and go forward with this. Now, if you're not in that type of situation, you want to just and you want to make sure that your client has every right to back out for whatever reason that comes up at the home inspection, go ahead and put 0 there. That can be $0. That's fine. And if the listing agent asks you why that's a 0, say because that's how it is in the MAR form. But what I normally do is I usually make that $1,000. Frankly, if after the home inspection we can't find $1,000 with worth of repairs that need to be done, we probably didn't have a very good inspector and he didn't try very hard. So most of the time you're going to be able to find that, if for whatever reason your buyer needs to get out. So that's what I would normally put in there. But again, if anybody has questions about that, you can ask your broker about that or ask one of the other agents what they do. This is just what I do. So anyway, and then the buyer will have the option of revoking that agreement by written notice to the seller and or broker representing the seller on or before blank. Now, normally most people would make this, a few days after the home inspection and prior to the signing of the purchase and sale agreement. But then sometimes things get screwed up. You need an additional you need some additional time to get some inspection, further inspection done. Maybe you need a specialist to come in and look at something structural or something like that. So what I like to do here is not put in a date at all, and I write signed purchase and sale agreement. So that just means up until we sign a P&S, we still have the right to tell the seller and their broker that we've decided to back out based on things that came up in the home inspection. Again, this is just what I do. I think it's the easiest way to protect your client. You don't have to remember that if for some reason the purchase and sale date gets moved, you don't also have to remember to move this date. It just makes it a little bit simpler for you. Anyway, so now we're moving on to Title V. unless you happen to have the rare property on Cape Cod that's on town or city sewer, you're almost always going to check this. Just says that pursuant to Title V, they're going to get us a passing Title V report before the closing. All right, going on to the mortgage contingency. So this is another standard contingency that's going to be in most of your offers. So with this particular client, let's just assume that this person is getting a conventional mortgage where they're putting 20% down. And so what they're going to be financing is going to be 80% of the sale price. Now, in some cases, they could be paying cash and you wouldn't check this at all. And I would probably even put a little NA here in the amount. That way it sort of signals to the listing agent, oh, no mortgage, this is great, this is a cash offer, this is a good thing. But anyway, so we'll go ahead and we'll assume that my buyer is putting 20% down and therefore they'll be financing $240,000 because they're going to put $60,000 down. Can you tell I had to use a calculator? Sad, I know, I'm using round numbers. And so then if, despite a buyer's diligent efforts, a commitment for such a loan cannot be obtained on or before blank, then the buyer may terminate the proposal to purchase. So basically what they're saying is what we're going to set now is our mortgage commitment date. And so I usually like to make that about 10 days prior to closing. Some lenders would like it if it was a little bit closer than that, 7 days before closing. But I'm usually going to make that about 10 days prior to closing, depending upon how much time they've had to get this whole thing together. So let's see. So if we're signing the purchase and sale on June 1st, then we know probably July 3rd is probably, now this is going to be a screwy one because we're going to get into a situation where, oh my God, now it's 4th of July week. So we're not going to want to do it on the 3rd or the 4th or the 5th. Let's go ahead. We're going to close on July 6th. And, this is a conversation, especially in this case, this would be a conversation I might want to have with with both the loan officer and with the attorney that we're using, and make sure everybody's going to be available to get this stuff done on that holiday week. If not, they might say to you, hey, you know what, Brian, do you think it would be all right if we push that to the following week? And so you might want to push that forward until the 10th or something. But speaking in general terms, usually I like to give at least 45 days from an accepted offer and at least 30 days from the signing of the purchase and sale agreement. Again, that's going to change depending upon your lender. So we're going to go ahead and put it in for the 10th, give everybody plenty of time to get this done. My clients aren't going to be in before the 4th of July anyway, so what's the difference if it's the 10th? All right, so and then the last thing, the last date we have to put in here is the date that we're going to have a completed loan application. Technically, I figure the loan application isn't truly complete until we've got a signed purchase and sale agreement, because that's when they can actually send it off to underwriting. So what I like to do here is the same thing that I did before, is pop in a signed purchase and sale agreement here. That just says as soon as we have all of our loan material together and we have it, including the purchase and sale agreement, we're going to submit all of that. And so that's when that's when the clock kind of starts for the lender. This next paragraph in here is just a little is sort of the little TRID amendment that got added in, and there's no changes that we have to make there. And so then the final thing is, oh, whoops, I made a mistake. Our closing date is going to be July 10th, which means we're going to have to make, I forgot, whoops. If July 10th is our closing date, then this one, our mortgage commitment date, should probably be June 30th. So let's go ahead and change that. I apologize. I hope that wasn't too confusing. So, so like I said, that date is usually going to be about 10 days or so prior to closing. In this case, again, it's kind of screwy because I happen to be doing this over July 4th, just because of when I'm doing this. But so we're going to say for closing, we're going to get a good and sufficient deed conveying a good and clear record and marketable title shall be delivered by the sellers at, I always say 2 o'clock. Obviously, that time can change. Um, I just want to make sure that it's not going to be too late in the day that we won't be able to get it on record. So, uh, so I always write 2 o'clock in there. Usually it changes anyway because the attorney is available at whatever time they're available, etc. So here's where we are. Here's where we're actually going to put in July 10th. Here we go, July 10th, 2017. We're going to have the closing likely at the Barnstable County Registry of Deeds, but it could be at an attorney's office or something. But anyway, that's what we're going to put in there. And so then the final things here, we're going to get into additional terms and conditions, etc. So things that might go in here. If your client has a home sale contingency, that might be put in there. If there are some things that, just some very specific conditions that may come up. There's all kinds of examples for things. That's where, and that would go in here. Here in a very standard offer, I don't have any additional terms I'm going to put in there. Maybe you're not 100% sure if the house is in a flood zone or not, and you're going to say something like, offer contingent on, an insurance, a confirmation that flood insurance is not necessary with this property, or, something along those lines. But anyway, that's it. So I'm going to go ahead and now I'm going to get this ready so I can send it directly to my my off-Cape buyer. I told him I'm going to email this to you. You're just going to have to click and e-sign it. He said, e-sign? I said, yeah, it's great. All you have to do is just click, and that's it. One of the things that you want to be very careful of is if there are more than one place for someone to click, they will click all of them, inevitably. So what I'm going to do is all of these ones that say sign here over here, I don't need these ones, so I'm going to assign these to no one. So what you do is you just click on the assign field, then you go up here, click no one. That way, when my excited seller goes to sign their offer, they don't accidentally sign it in 5 places instead of 1. So this is the one I actually am going to assign to my client. So first I'm going to put my client's name in here. That's Morris Day. He lives at 55 Lake Street in beautiful New Bedford, Massachusetts. I don't know why he'd want a place on the Cape if he already lived in New Bedford. I mean, geez, it's nice there. But anyway, and then we're going to go ahead and assign this field to him so that he can sign it. Now, he's not already in here, so I'm going to have to add. I'm going to have to add in my buyer. So what we'll do is put in his full name, Morris Day. His role is buyer. I don't need to put in all of his information. All I really need to have in here is his email. So I'm just going to go ahead and put in his email address, add person. So there it is. So now when I email that to him, all he'll have to do is click there and he can sign. You see everything else is assigned to no one. So I'm going to go ahead and save this. And then if I've reviewed it all and everything looks good, I didn't make a mistake, like put the closing date in the mortgage commitment date line, but I caught that, so we fixed that. I think everything looks pretty kosher, so I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to text or call Morris to tell him that this is on its way, and I'm going to click share. And then right here, you'll see there he is. I click share one more time, and whoosh, it will go off to him, and he can sign it. As soon as he does sign it, I'll get an email saying Morris has signed his document. I go, I find it, I download it, and I just shoot it right over to the listing agent, along with the other supporting docs like his, uh, the agency disclosure, and a copy of their $1,000 check to bind the offer, and then also the pre-approval letter. Those are the standard things that I'm always going to send over. Um, so anyway, hopefully this was helpful. If anybody has any questions about anything, you can always talk to one of the other agents in the market center, and we're always happy to help. All right. Thank you. Have a great day.